Loudest drone. Loudest drone.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 380 of the Hoots Podcast. It's your boy Joshie, the nefarious brother Adam. You can follow me on Twitter at the Hoots Podcast. Pretty simple ordeal. You also can follow us here on YouTube as well at the Hoots Podcast. It is Thursday, September 28th, 2023, and we are exactly 20 episodes away from reaching episode 400 of the Hoots Podcast. And I just want to say thank you to each and every single one of you who take time out of your schedule to watch and or listen to this podcast that we've been doing for the last 7 years. I think we should start off pretty big here. Again, thank you for all for checking out the show and hanging out with me as I'm recording this live on a Thursday night. I just want to say that, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the wrestling world. Lord, do I know it now that I'm back to work and back in the grind. And I got some good news this week. By the way, for those who don't know, I'm back on the transcript tip, and you could check out my wrestling articles every single week for Raw, NXT, and SmackDown, and now including PLEs now for WrestlingHeadlines.com, so you can check out those bad boys there. I got a couple pay-per-views to cover this weekend with No Mercy, and also I will be covering WrestleDream. I got the message today from Calvin, who I work with at the site, and he's like, hey, can you come in and do WrestleDream? I'm like, why not? Give it a shot. So yeah, man, I'm back on the grind. Not only that, but obviously this workout stuff. So your boy's been busy, but I'm in really good spirits, and I've also had a lot of time over the last couple months or so to really take a step back and kind of reflect on where things are going with myself, what I want to do. Obviously getting the job back has been a big I don't know, signal or boost of inner professional confidence for me. Not in an arrogant or boasting way, but like just like a reassuring point of view that like, okay, now I got my gig back. I'm back on the grind, and I can be happy. I don't have that burden on my shoulder that I don't know how much I'm gonna be able to save before taxes next year. Just real life problems that we all deal with. But this is almost gonna be about a month since I've been back on the grind and the work schedule, and it's been cool. Even with the fact that I've been doing my articles, it hasn't really slowed me down with the other major project that I'm focusing on right now, and that's really myself. And it's not just the workout stuff. I mean, I've been pushing myself a lot this week, especially because it's the end of the month. But when I mentioned the project of this and reimagining how I see myself, it's a lot more than what you see on the camera here. You know, I know I got a lot of journey to go. I made a lot of progress in the last 4 to almost 5 months of doing this stuff, but more importantly, just reimagining like how I see myself, and also having to come to realizations with other stuff too, and stuff that maybe I didn't want to admit at certain points, and that um, you know I starting to notice that while I feel the quality of this particular show is still living up to the name of the brand we built with this show over the last 7 years. Um, I'm not really noticing it a return on investment. Not money wise, but engagement wise. Now, don't get me wrong. I got a great crew of people who help and support this show every single week, like Mike and Chris, who send in great questions. I got their questions already lined up for the pod this week, so we'll get to that in just a couple of minutes. But I think it's time to have a little honest conversation with you guys regarding the state of this podcast. And one thing I've hold true to myself, not only on air, but with my career and everything in my life, I have to take, I have to be accountable and be self-aware of what's happening, and take onus of what's in front of me. And I'm realizing now that the show is not making the impact that I feel like I wanted it to, and it's not resonating enough for people to either reach out, subscribe to the channel, watch or listen. Uh, I've not always been a numbers guy, but being the guy who edits and produces the show and is the one uploading it on Anchor. I think they call it Spotify for podcasters now. Just going through that process, me, the main guy behind the show, I have to monitor that stuff, And look, we've accomplished a lot with this show, far more than I would ever imagine doing a show like this. There is 50 to, I don't know, not even 50. 50 is barely scratching the surface. There has to be at least 300 different wrestling podcasts out there. I see the rankings out there. We're not even close to it. I feel like our show as a whole is good enough compared to those that have the numbers and all that and the following, but I'm also in the reality business too, and I know how this media landscape works. And honestly, what you're doing and what you're producing is a reflection of you. And while I feel within myself that I've been honest to a fault at times, and open with you guys and try to provide a different style of wrestling content audio wise, it's not resonating with people, and that's a hard pill to swallow to say. And I'm just being 100% transparent here with you guys. I love this podcast. I love what this show is meant to me. I love the fact that I could come on here and let this be my weekly therapy session with you guys, and a chance and a platform for me to get vulnerable at times and give you a different side of me, even for my family members who support my work and get to see a side maybe they don't see all the time. And I I am when you listen and watch this show, you're getting the 100% authentic version of Joshua Adam Lopez, and that's what the Hoots Podcast is. And while I am very grateful for the fact that we've reached over 700,000 different downloads and listeners on Spotify, we are almost around 500 subscribers on YouTube. I feel like we've made maybe a slight impact in the wrestling media landscape, but I'm starting to realize that this particular show is starting to lose its place in purpose, I guess, in this field. And I don't want to be a person that produces content in a bubble of clutter. And you know, I want to do this. I am gonna make sure that we reach to episode 400. But honestly, as I talk to you right now, I don't know if I'm gonna continue on with this show after WrestleMania. I really don't. I'm not gonna come on here right now and say it's the definitive end of the Hoots Podcast, but we're getting closer to that point, and I could see the final leg of the show happening. And I'm gonna promise to make sure that I go out with a bang and give you the best shows that I can continue to do. And hopefully, maybe in these next couple of months or so, when we get to episode 400, maybe my mind will have a different perspective. But I had a real honest conversation with myself when I was kind of at this point before episode 300, where I wasn't sure the show is having a purpose and a meaning anymore. And, yeah, to a certain extent that we're just not drawing. It's not resonating. And I had to, in some way, I had to take responsibility for that. As sad as it is to admit that I had to take a little bit of responsibility for that, not out of lack of effort, not of a lack of consistency. God, I don't know, outside of Sean Ross Sapp and Mike Johnson, I don't know who in this field and the rest of media has been more consistent when I wasn't furloughed, regardless of podcasts and transcripts, than I am. I don't know. You tell me who's more consistent in this field than I am. And this show is just not resonating. And I again, it's not a lack of effort or quality of shows. I feel maybe the concept of the show is just not, it's not resonating enough the way it should be for a wrestling podcast. And also, there's been times where the show hasn't been just a wrestling podcast. And maybe I should have been more critical at times. Maybe I should have had more discussions and topics about booking and stuff like that. And when you're in the media field, you got to play to your audience, right? And maybe I've tried to strive to have a niche that's just not sustainable in this line of work. But I don't look at it as a bad thing either, because I really pride myself on the authenticity of where I'm coming from with my perspective on the business, and understanding that this is the greatest form of entertainment out there, and a lot of us take it for granted. And if me not being the guy that needs to opine on booking as if I'm the smartest person in the room every week, if that's not good enough for the wrestling fan base on the internet, then so be it. I've had a great run. I've been doing this show since 2016. I've been doing audio content in general since 2013. I've been at this stuff for a long while now. And I've been able, again, I got to meet a lot of great people. And that's been the biggest blessing in this whole experience of creating this show, is the bonds and friendships I've built along the way of creating this podcast, and earning your guys' trust to come in here and just speak off the cuff. And I just want to say again, thank you for letting me into your guys' lives and letting me provide a platform for you guys to have an escape from the repetitive nature that comes with these type of podcasts. And I'm not an expert. I'm not an analyst. I'm not gonna come here and pick fights with Ryan Satin and go back and forth on Twitter every day. I'm not gonna. I'm just not gonna be a clout chaser. And if that means that we're not gonna get clicks out of that, then so be it. I'm very appreciative of each and every single one of you who have supported the show for what it is and what the purpose was behind it. And honestly, at the end of the day, like I say each and every week, for those who watch or listen for the first time, the Hoots Podcast is a podcast about, you know, being in the back porch setting and you guys just shooting the shit about wrestling. And I know when it comes to general discourse in professional wrestling, a lot of that comes with a lot of complaining and a lot of like, man, I can't believe that WWE doesn't book their women's division better. And it's like a lot of 2020 hindsight dialogue and those type of conversations. But I feel like a lot of it's so repetitive, you kind of lose nuance of what's going on with the shows. And I'm in a different position because I have a different outlook on the industry for the fact that I cover the shows. I'm not doing backstage reporting, who gets released, who's banging who's getting arrested. I don't do that type of reporting. My reporting is basically strictly on what's happening inside the ring and what you see on the television stuff. And it's really changed my entire outlook on the entire industry as a whole. The wrestling fan in me, Joshie, has in a lot of ways died over the last 5 to 10 years since I've got into this media business. Not in a, I don't feel like I'm above anybody. That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying here is now that I've taken the time to cover the shows, break it down, study the product, a lot of that, my purpose and agenda has a different meaning to it than just, okay, I covered the show, let me come on here and bitch about it for the entire time. I'm really, when I say student of the game, I really live up to that moniker, and I'm really, this is my life calling. This is what I want to do for a living. And it's just, I understand that what my style of wrestling talk is just not going to cater to a lot of people. And I understand that negativity, debates, disingenuous takes it's par for the course. And I'll admit we don't have a graphics team. I don't even have enough money to pay a guy to make cool looking thumbnails like you get on Chris Family. By the way, no knock on Chris. I love Chris. He's a great dude. I got a chance to meet him in Tampa a couple years ago. Or like Denise Salcedo. I really admire her work and her hustle and her work ethic. Do I agree with all her wrestling opinions every time? No, but I do respect her work ethic, and she seems like a cool chick. But really, the gist of what I'm trying to say here, as we begin the beginning part of this podcast this week, is that I'm really realizing right now that the show is not resonating the way I thought it was going to, and I feel like we're overstaying our welcome. I really am, because the numbers say it, and we're not growing. Even I thought maybe we get a little bit of a boost back because I got my gig bag, and usually I shared the link to the previous episode on my transcripts, and even then it's like minimum at best. And we're just not growing, and it's not resonating. I can even tell on social media, and it's like Chris Aletta has been a godsend to us with this podcast. Like, he's probably the most consistent supporter of this show that I know, that actually engages with us, sends actual feedback. Like, he, out of everybody out of our crew that really supports this podcast, he's been the most consistent when it comes to giving feedback. And I'm very, very appreciative of Chris and what he's meant to the show and his contributions to this show. And I'm not naive. I've been in this field long enough to know whether or not what you're doing is good enough for other people. It's part of the reason why I put the website that I was doing on hiatus, because even then I was barely getting any clicks for my transcripts when I was doing the G1, because I was bored while in furlough, and I thought, hey, guess what? Let me try to pick up some momentum by doing the G1. I stand by the quality of my work, and it's just not resonating, and I had to take that on the chin. So we're gonna reach the final leg of this show. It's been a great ride, man. Like, by the time it gets to WrestleMania 40, it'll be 8 years, and I'm appreciative of everybody who's been supportive with us. You guys know who you are. You guys really know who you are. But I can't keep doing this if it's not going to resonate and it's not going to grow. I'm just talking into a microphone at this point. And again, it's not a lack of effort. I stand by the quality of the shows that we've been producing. And especially recently, the last couple months, I feel like we've been having some really good nuanced conversations. And the Q&A sessions have been a lot of fun. And of course, everybody enjoys what the hell is wrong with AEW. But it's like, I record, I put it on Twitter, and the only person that reaches back to me, whether they liked or didn't like the show, is Chris. That's it. Maybe I'll get a couple of retweets here, but it's like, why am I doing the show if nobody gives a shit, right? You know, so I have to be honest and accountable with myself. Maybe it's something I'm doing wrong. Maybe the purpose and theme behind this show is not good enough for wrestling fans these days. They just want rants and people popping blood vessels during the show, and that's what it is. So again, I'm not right now, I'm not definitively saying 100% that the Hoots podcast will end after episode 400. I do know that the end is coming very soon. That's what I'm saying. So again, I just want to say thank you for all of you who have been supporting with us since day one. And let's finish these last 20 episodes with a bang. By the way, you can check out the Hoots Podcast free of charge anywhere you get your podcasts from here on YouTube. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel so not only you never miss an episode of the Hoots Podcast, we're also on the road to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, and we're very close to reaching the 500 benchmark, which is pretty cool. So check us out there. We're on Amazon Music, what? Spotify, what? Google Play, what? The Odyssey app, what? Just type in the Hoots Podcast on Google, and you'll find it. It's free charge. Also, by the way, we're on Pandora as well. I don't know if you got anybody who uses Pandora these days, but the podcast is available there. And besides that, make sure to follow the show on Spotify as well, because that'll help expand the reach show, and hopefully we could qualify for ambassador ads. Anyways, now that I got that out of the way, let's get into the back porch Q&A session here on the Hoots Podcast, as we usually do. If you ever have a question for me, this is the part of the show that I really enjoy, because I get to interact with those who just have questions about life, the world of wrestling, and sports. This is what we call the back porch Q&A session. And if you ever have questions, you can send me at Twitter at the Hoots Podcast, or the Hoots Podcast at gmail.com. So right now, we'll go to the good brother Chris Zaletta at XTeamZaletta24X on Twitter. He says, "What up, Moose? Here's some questions for the Q&A this week. Which match are you looking forward to the most for NXT No Mercy?" I think for me, it's probably either the main event of Carmelo Hayes and Ilya Dragunov, or it's going to be the women's match with Becky Lynch and Tiffany Stratton, which is the Extreme Rules match for the NXT Women's Championship. I think that's going to be pretty dope. And NXT No Mercy is going to be a fun show. I'll be making some previews and predictions for that event a little later on after the segment's over. Also, I'll be covering No Mercy on Saturday night for those who want to check out my transcript work. Next question. Who do you think Jade's first program will be with? Well, I got a lot of questions this week about Jade Cargill. If you guys have been living under rock, Jade Cargill has been signed to WWE. She signed a multi-year deal with WWE and recently made her way down to the Performance Center. She reported to the Performance Center in Winter Park, Florida, and um, that's a big question. What's gonna happen with her? Should she be in NXT? Should she be on Raw or SmackDown? I heard something on the show earlier this week where they're like, "Oh, she wouldn't get better or benefit being in NXT," and I think that's really a slap in the face of a lot of the women that are in NXT. It's not just nobodies from the Performance Center or these NIL athletes. You have veterans like Cora Jade, who's in the Indies, Blair Davenport, Roxanne Perez. I could keep going. Um, um, Laya Valkyria. There are talented female performers on that NXT women's roster that could help Jade in a lot of ways. And um, I guess I should just address this now because we got other questions about Jade on the show. I'm very, very intrigued by this acquisition. I think it's a real big deal for WWE. It really is. I kind of talked about it on last week's show, but the fact that you can't make Jake Cargill work in AEW is just a testament for the Booker of the Year, right? And I said it before, her ceiling is that she has no ceiling. The sky's the limit for her. She could be whatever she wants to be. And I think she's in the right stage, in the right environment, at the right time for her. And she's going to really do a lot of good stuff in NXT. In WWE in general, do I know who the first feud is? I don't know. You could say that maybe Jade Cargill immediately goes after Becky Lynch in the NXT Women's Championship. Maybe she's the one that takes the title off of Becky. You can hold it off. I would say maybe have Jade fight against Roxanne Perez. I think that'd be pretty cool. You have options, but when it comes to Jade, and I know this has been a controversial topic because LOL AEW versus WWE fans, the more biggest wasted arguments of social media more than JD from New York and Ryan Satin. But nonetheless, what I want to say here is that I think that this move for Jade is going to be beneficial in a lot of ways, and I think that her talent will tell her story along the way. And we'll have to see how it goes. She's going to be under a microscope because the really first homegrown AEW talent to go from there to WWE. And I big time players make big time plays, and big time players rise to occasions. And I see no scenario where this is gonna be a flop venture for her. She has the work ethic. She has to want to. And I got to watch a couple of her interviews this week on the Ringer show with Kaz and the Shoemaker, and the interview she did with Mark Romani on ESPN, where the news originally broke for this story. It is a big deal. It really is. It's a big deal, and I'm very excited for her future, and I think she's going to do a really good job in WWE. So we'll see how that goes. Do you see any company bringing in Matt Riddle despite the out of the ring troubles? Possibly. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he showed up at GCW or Impact. Maybe I heard something where people are like, oh, maybe Matt Riddle does something in Japan. I don't know. The guy needs to get his life together first before worrying about where he's going to be booked next. I'm sure a lot of people already pen him in for a spot in AEW, but more people you bring from WWE to AEW, the less your favorite stars from AEW get TV time, and that's what people don't realize. So, me personally, I'm more concerned about him as a human being than what his next booking is going to be. So, Hopefully he gets his shit together, and then we'll see what happens next. Which this is a funny question here. All right, let me lower this a little bit actually. All right. Which match are you looking forward to for WrestleDream / Dream of Honor? Yeah, I don't even know what this pay-per-view is. Like the purpose behind it. Okay, it's just a super card in Seattle. Great. I know the Seattle fans will be great and it'll be a fun show and all that, but I really don't get the purpose behind it. Honestly, it's supposed to be a tribute to Antonio Inoki, but half the card is stuff that has to do with Ring of Honor. It's just all over the place. It's just another dirt sheet laden pay-per-view. Obviously, I'm intrigued by Bryan Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr. I'm not the biggest Bryan Danielson fan in the world, but anytime I get to transcribe a Zack Sabre Jr. match, I'm here for it. And I think Swerve and Hangman Page will be a good match, despite the fact, again, that's another reason I don't know what they're fighting for. Their whole angle's about, Swerve wants Hangman's position. This is the best we got. We got the dirt sheet guy now in creative. So now we're going to have booking feuds. Oh, you're in my spot. You're in my spot. Who gives a shit? You know what I mean? So, like, I who am I supposed to cheer for, one? And two, why are we bringing behind the scenes aspects into programs and feuds? Okay, so Swerve got put inside of a casket by a 64-year-old man. Then the next week he wants to pick a fight with Hangman Page because he's buddies with the Elite and he wants his position. It's all over the place. I don't get it. Also, I'm excited for Eddie Kingston and Shibata. I think that should be a very, very good match. All right, let's go to the next question, shall we? Chris here he says, anyone from the group of releases last week that you think could go on a run and possibly return to WWE down the road? That is a good question. I don't think it'll be Ali. I think he made his point very clear for a while now that he didn't want to be there. And as I said last week, I respect the guy and I respect what he does in the ring. But if you don't want to be somewhere, don't be there. So he doesn't have to cry anymore. We'll have to wait for his prison style vignette by the time he makes his debut, wherever he debuts. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, I could possibly see Dana Brooke come back. I don't know about Shelton just due to an age reason. My best guess is probably Dolph Ziggler if I had to make a guess, or him or Elias. I think Dolph Ziggler or Elias would probably be the ones that come back, but we'll have to see. Over and under, Ali does a prison break related video. Yeah, that you could smash the over button on that. No shot. No shot. Hashtag shot. Who do you think attacked Jay White? Make sure to stay tuned for that, for what the hell's wrong with AW. You buying the Dolphins as a serious contender / threat in the AFC. I like what I've seen so far, but it's a different story when they play in January. I need to see wins in the playoffs. Great talent, a lot of good offense. Defense is decent. Happy for my guy Vic Fangio. But outside of that, I need to see wins. And Tua's injury history is a concern. They're off to a great start right now. They just they hanged 70 points on the Denver Broncos the other day. I like what they do. I'm a fan of Mike McDaniel. I'm not here to shit on the Dolphins. I like what they're doing. They're a fun team to root for. But, you got to win in January. And, they'll probably have a really good regular season record, kind of like those Peyton Manning Indianapolis Colts teams with a lot of offense. But they need to win bigger games, and I need to see them play better in colder weather too. So that's my answer for that question. If it was up to you, LA Knight or Randy Orton to tag with Cena at Fastlane versus Jimmy and Solo. I like those two options. I'll talk a little bit more about that in This Week in WWE because that was a big angle, and we got Fastlane coming up a week from Saturday. Um, my outlook on that, Chris, is those two options were really good. LA Knight and Randy Orton. I wouldn't have a problem with either of those guys. Also, just throwing it out there, I think that maybe Cody could be a tag partner as well for John Cena as well, and that could stir the pot a little bit. But those two options that you mentioned there, Chris, I wouldn't have a problem with that whatsoever. Is RKO the biggest unknown finish in recent history? Ever a chance he'll ever get a proper ending? Well, when it comes to that second question, that just depends on Matt Riddle himself. You know, I would like to hope and think that maybe, hey, Matt Riddle could be one of those guys, like you mentioned in the question earlier about the releases, that maybe he comes back to WWE one day, but it's on him what he wants out of himself. So, it's only an unfinished because Randy Orton got injured and Riddle can't get out of his own way. So it's hard to say. It's really hard to answer that question, Chris. But I thank you for your set of questions this week. Always a good job as always, buddy. I appreciate you. Let's go to the good brother Mike Rubio at Main Event Swerve. Here's his questions for this week. He says, "What up, Boost? I actually have a few questions for the back porch this week, so here goes. What was the dumber NFL play last week? The guy who sacked the quarterback and celebrated, but he had passed the ball off, or Deshaun Watson bucking Bronco backwards throw?" I'm just gonna go by Deshaun Watson by default. It's just funny now that we're here in 2023 to figure out that Deshaun Watson is overrated as shit. I'm glad that we're finally figuring that out. And Mitch Trubisky is a better overall quarterback than Deshaun Watson. I'll debate anybody with that to the cows come home. In the legacy of Dolph Ziggler, what match will steal the show at No Mercy? That's a great question. I like that, Mike. You know what? Just from the crowd reactions alone, there is a possibility that Dominic Mysterio and Trick Williams for the North American Championship can steal the show on Saturday. Now, this show is in Bakersfield, California. I don't know if that's a hotbed for professional wrestling. I know the California, San Francisco Bay Area is a hotbed for wrestling, but Bakersfield, I'm not really sure. I just think Dominic and Trick with the fan engagement can steal the show. But from a match point of view, it's probably Noah and Dar against Butch for the Heritage Cup. I can't wait to transcribe that match. That match is going to be awesome. And I can't, it's hard when you talk about NXT shows. Usually the main events are always barn burners. So I can't say, oh, Carmelo Hayes and Ilya Dragunov are going to steal the show. Like, no shit. Of course they would. So that's a good question. I'd probably say my best guess is either Dominic and Trick or the Heritage Cup match with Noah Dar and Butch. Let me take a quick swig of water really quick because I've been talking nonstop for the last 30 minutes. Yeah, very good. All right. What do you think about John Cena taking a lengthy beating Friday night after LA Knight's COVID test said, yeah? Well, first off, I want to say my thoughts with LNI, and I hope he's feeling better. Anybody's telling you that COVID's over is they're hoodwinking you. Kind of like, never mind, that's going to get down the rabbit hole I don't want to get into right now. I thought it was good. John has really put a lot of time on elevating the stock of a lot of the younger performers on the show. And he cuts a promo here and there, but you really haven't got the fiery, impassionated John Cena since he's come back. And I was listening to Cheap Heat the other day with my boy Stat Guy Greg and obviously Rosenberg on their show, and they're saying that John Cena's return has been kind of disappointing because he's working with underneath guys and not the big name stars. I have to agree to disagree. I think that him getting that beat down on Friday is more beneficial to the bloodline than, oh, let's do John Cena and Roman again, where we just had it at SummerSlam, you know? Like, yeah, you could do that on a WrestleMania stage or stuff like that, but when you're building towards the show towards Fastlane and you have John Cena there and he wants to be there and he has this elongated schedule where he can show up, I don't know why people are taking this run for granted. Wouldn't you want John Cena to work with younger talent? I just don't. I personally don't agree with that sentiment that John Cena's return so far has been underwhelming because he's not working with the bigger name guys. The Bloodline is still one of the biggest groups in all professional wrestling, so I don't know how that's a step down for John Cena, even though Roman Reigns is not on the show. I was out of work for training yesterday, so not playing hooky, but but what's the best reason you've ever missed work for, if any? Oh man. Believe it or not, Mike, outside of illnesses, I really never had a reason where I missed work. You know, I I get where you're coming from with the question, but maybe just for the work that I do, I haven't found myself in a position where I needed a reason to not show up to work or something crazy happened where I couldn't make it. So I'm sorry to disappoint you with that one, but I really don't have an answer for that. Question 5. How much do you care that the hated champion Astros may actually miss the playoffs? Well, I've stopped watching baseball once I realized that my favorite baseball team was going to be the National Laughing Stock, and now they're about to lose 100 games for the season. So I stopped watching baseball for the last couple months. So the fact that the Astros may or may not miss the playoffs, that's a little disappointment, man. Kind of similar to the Padres, where they spend almost $1 billion of revenue on players and have no rings to show for it. So all those people are like, White Sox, you traded Fernando Tatis Jr. Guess what? How many rings has he won? The same as James Shields. 0. Take that. Oh, what about Manny Machado? Yeah, 0 rings either. Take that. Part 2. Oh, they got Juan Soto for the Nationals. 0 rings. Take that. And yes, I took that for David Kaplan. So, did you watch that show Snake Oil with David Spade last night? Also, what's the craziest game show you've ever seen? I haven't, Mike. I've heard about that David Spade was having a show, but I haven't had a chance to watch it. The craziest game show that I've ever watched is probably like Survivor, or yeah, it's probably mostly Survivor. Speaking of game shows, did you ever watch Nick Arcade, or at least the videos of contestants struggling on the show? No, I haven't heard of that either, actually. From Weak Stinks to hashtag Weak Crime, what did you think of the Bears story with the former team member turned FBI agent who got tongue twister here? From Weak Stinks to Weak Crime, what do you think of that Bears story with the former team member turned FBI agent who had to bust the coach on the current team? What the hell? Mike, I'm just saying this out of respect for you, brother. Don't believe everything you read on the internet. Yeah, I'd say for sure, like, don't believe every single thing that you read on the internet, because look, I like John Segal. I like what he does. I admire his work ethic, but all that was just a lie. None of it was true. Charles Tillman did not raid Alan Williams' house or raid Hallis Hall. That was a non-story. It wasn't true. So again, don't believe everything you read on the internet. All right. let's get to this next one here. Speaking of struggling teams, what do you think of the Texans getting D'Amico Ryan's first career victory against the Jags? Was it the team improving or another Tony Khan run implosion? I'm going to say a little bit of both. I think the Texans have something cooking there. I think they have the right coach with the right mindset. I'm not here to proclaim what career CJ Stroud will have in Houston. He had a really good game the other day. And the defense is going to be a very good team. But from what I see, it's a little case of both. And I think a little bit of the Jaguars are a little bit overrated this year as well. So that's my best guess for that question as well. Are you going to be tuning into the NFL's Toy Story game this weekend? Speaking of the Jaguars, I'm curious. The Nickelodeon one was fun anyway. I heard about this. It's the Falcons and the Jaguars. It's a little funny because there's a wrestling tie in here. So, as many of y'all know, Tony Khan's family owns the Jaguars, and they do a lot of their home games in London. One guarantee, every football season, the Jags will have a game in London. And Tony's gone to a lot of these shows, a lot of these games in London. He'll not be in London this weekend for the Falcons and Jaguars game. He will be in Seattle for the pay-per-view for WrestleDream. And he will not be there. So I won't be able to watch the game because I don't have ESPN Plus. It's kind of dumb that they're not airing this on the NFL Network. That's just my opinion. Or ESPN, the regular channel. I don't know. You do this deal with YouTube TV, but you won't put the game on regular ESPN. You have to get ESPN Plus to watch it. I think that's kind of stupid, to be honest with you. But as I say that, you gotta get the bag, right? So, look, I wouldn't be able to watch the game anyway, because I got to make my meal preps. So a little behind the scenes here. I make my meal preps for the following week on Sunday morning before I watch the football games. I got to do that. And then I got to go to my cousin's baptism. My cousin Vince, his son, Max, is having his baptism coming up on Sunday, which is going to be pretty cool. Let me see here. Excuse me. Yeah, I just wouldn't be able to watch the game because I gotta make sure I got my meals prepped for next week. Gotta go to the party, and then I gotta rush back here to watch the Ring of Honor Wrestle Jizz Fest. That's what it really is at the end of the day. All right, next question. This I can always rely on Mike to get the controversial ones here. Oh boy. What do you think about the Justin Fields Mitch Trubisky comparisons? Is it that Spider-Man meme? I'm not so sure. No. And I'm going to get a lot of flack for this for those who watch or listen to this back, and I don't care. The truth hurts. Mitch Trubisky is a better overall quarterback than Justin Fields. And anybody saying that Justin Fields is getting unfair treatment from the media and fans are full of shit compared to the nonsense that Mitch had to go through. Look, nobody's going to mistake Mitch Trubisky for Drew Brees or Tom Brady or Matthew Stafford or Aaron Rodgers. But to the lengths and the scrutiny this kid went through during his run here, it's something I've never seen before in my life, where not even at the day after he got drafted, where he goes to a Bulls game and the fans boo him out of the building, where in a collective entire city and media market ran the dude out of the city. And look, I know Mitch made mistakes and he didn't live up to his draft position. That's not his fault where he got picked at. And again, it doesn't matter if you're Joe Montana, John Elway, etc., etc. They always say Chicago's the place where receivers come to die. No, it's quarterbacks. I don't know what quarterback will come in here and benefit the way or succeed in the environment that comes with being in the Chicago Bears. And that's just a fact. Justin Herbert, if he was drafted here, would not be who he is right now. I mean, hell, I don't even know if Lamar would get the hype that he gets. And sometimes I think Lamar Jackson is kind of overrated, but I don't think Lamar Jackson has the success here as he did in Baltimore, where you have a competent organization, where you have competent coaches and leaders in your franchise. So, do I look at it as a Spider-Man meme because these are two guys where they're more athletic than they are pure pocket passers, or because of the lengths of scrutiny that they deal with? I'm sure maybe some people could make that comparison, but from my opinion, from just the eye test and watching, Mitch is a more pure, better quarterback than Justin is. And Justin had a lot more flashy, dynamic ESPN top 10 style plays with his legs, but the eye test tells me that Mitch is the better quarterback than Justin. And I know that a lot of people won't be willing to agree with that because people have confirmation bias towards Mitch, and a lot of people are still butthurt over the fact that Patrick Mahomes was not selected by the Bears, or that creep Deshaun Watson wasn't picked. But facts are facts. Mitch, with all the shit that was thrown at him, having to deal with John Fox's first season and get fired, bringing Nagy 12-4, makes the playoff. Mitch brought the team in position to win that game against the Eagles, get the double doink. Final year, yeah, I get it. 2019, he did not play good. He didn't. Then he goes to 2020, and we think we have the savior in Nick Foles. Mitch gets benched for a struggling half against the Falcons, even though he played pretty decent in the prior 2 weeks. Foles plays, Bears go on a big losing streak, bring Mitch back in, and bring the Bears to another playoff appearance. I know that Mitch Trubisky is an easy target, and a lot of people like to make fun of him, and I get it. He's the backup in Pittsburgh. But it's just, the eye test tells me that he's a better pure quarterback than Justin Fields. And I would like to be proven otherwise, but from what we've seen these past 3 games, Justin Fields is taking a step back. And that's what it is. Speaking of things for TikTok, what has the app influenced more? What people do or what people listen to, especially radio? I think it's a little bit of both, but I'd probably say what people listen to because, if you look at Charlie Puth, he there's a song that he made that I really like called Light Switch, and he basically constructed that whole song on TikTok. And there's a lot of people. I'm not jealous of these people. Talent is talent, and you capitalize on the opportunities that are presented to you. And I can't take anything away from people who become famous off of TikTok. I think that's awesome. So I think it's probably what more people listen to these days. How much of a whiff was it, at least in the negotiation for AEW to fail to re-sign Jay Cargill? I think you answered the question. It is a whiff. It's a big whiff. You have a homegrown talent, and you mean to tell me you can't do anything with else? You can't do anything with her on the roster if she's not just the TBS Women's Champion? Why is it that Jade Cargill was never the AEW Women's Champion? Tell me how that makes any sense. So, here's another question. Who's the bigger surprise to see in the new Dunkin' Donuts ad? Ben Affleck or Ice Spice? Ben Affleck. Other than the Usos, who's your favorite tag team in WWE, and who's likely to be the next long-term tag champs? Good question there. my favorite tag teams in WWE. Well, I think the Creed brothers could do a lot of good stuff in WWE once they get their chance to come out to Raw or SmackDown. I like the Street Profits. You still have KO and Sammy for now as a tag team. You got the Brawling Brutes. I think for my pick though, and I think the next guys to have like a long reign and do some really good stuff in the tag team world is Pretty Deadly. That's my prediction. I think Pretty Deadly is probably gonna be the next big time group tag team that has like a long term run in the company. So that's a good question, but I'd probably say Pretty Deadly. Can we talk about Nia Jax for a moment? She apparently injured Rhea Ripley her first night back on Raw. Is she dangerous, or is this another coincidence? Especially after seeing Stevie Richards' TikTok, I'm not sure. Look, I know a lot of people have it out for Nia Jax too, and she does it to herself too. She's her own worst enemy at times. What I will say though, is that I think she's made some slight improvements in the ring, but she's gonna be under the microscope. I'm not the biggest fan, but I'm not gonna be taking personal shots at wrestlers because I don't like their style. I think that's kind of lame reason to dislike a female or any person in wrestling because they're not your cup of tea. Like, look, I don't have anything personal against Bryan Danielson, but do I think he's the greatest wrestler of all time? And people say, "Oh, he was held down in WWE and all this bullshit." Like, I don't agree with that. I heard somebody this week say that Edge's return to WWE was a flop. Are you fucking kidding me? A flop? People will say anything these days. Oh, Edge's return to WWE is a flop, but wait to what he does in AEW. I can't wait to talk about that later on. With the writers' strike ending, but not the actors' one, what projects do you see The Rock and John Cena doing in WWE? Good question. I don't know about projects. There was a little scuttlebutt about possibly The Rock showing up and doing something at the Elimination Chamber in Australia. I think that'd be cool. If John Cena wants to be part of that show as well, maybe you have John Cena there as well. I'm not really sure. It's a hard question to answer. I don't know what projects they can do. I don't know what movies or shows they had lined up before the strikes happened that are supposed to be released, stuff like that. I have absolutely no idea. Also, were you surprised when WWE Creative made the call for Austin Theory to say it doesn't matter what The Rock says? He owned that moment, but what does he have to do to get Dominic like heat? I don't think the goal is to be just like Dominic. What Dominic offers to the table is unique, and it should be kept that way. I think there's again confirmation bias and agenda towards Austin Theory because on TV he was presented as a Vince guy, so people have it out for him. People don't like Vince McMahon, so anybody attached to him, people will have their opinions and narratives attached to them. Bruce Pritchard comes to mind, etc., etc. So what Austin has to do is control what he can control, and sooner or later he's gonna be undeniable. He did own that moment. I say it every week, man. You gotta maximize your TV time. And from where he was earlier this year, getting literally torn down to shreds by John Cena, to having that confidence and poise in there with The Rock on the microphone, tells you everything you need to know. You could have your confirmation bias, and maybe Austin Theory again is one of those performers that's not your cup of tea, and I respect that. But to say that the guy's untalented and has no potential, I just think you're lying to yourself. All right, the last question for the Q&A this week. Who is the next NXT champion, and when does it happen? As always, thanks for the entertainment and honesty above all. Take care. Appreciate you, Mike. Appreciate you, good brother. That's a good question. It really is a good question. It's up in the air. I can see maybe Tyler Bate could be the next NXT champion. Maybe um, it's not Corbin, obviously. um, I don't know, man. It's a tough question. Could Trick Williams be the one to dethrone Carmelo Hayes? Maybe. Uh, we'll have to see if Wesley gets out of his feelings, and maybe he could be the other guy that gets another title shot. I don't know what they're going with this angle with Wesley. It's like I get the whole thing. He was frustrated over the fact of what happened with his tag partner getting released and all that, and it's a fortunate situation. But it's like the guy's like a big head case. Like he's like overly emotional about everything and easily triggered. And it was it he went home because he lost the match to Carmelo a couple weeks ago. Like I don't get it. So it's an open field right now. And that's interesting. We'll have to see who stands out from the pack in the next couple of months and see who could be the next really legit next guy. We'll have to see how that works. But I want to thank Mike and Chris for the questions this week. As always, if you want to participate in the Back Porch Q&A session, all you have to do is hit me up on Twitter at the Hoots Podcast or the Hoots Podcast at gmail.com. When we come back, we'll talk about what happened this week in WWE and get you ready for this Saturday's premium live event known as NXT No Mercy right here on the Hoots Podcast. Excuse me. I had the microphone muted for a moment there. Welcome back, everybody, to Hoots Podcast. Time what happened this week in WWE. Don't forget, just a couple of seconds, we'll get into what the hell is wrong with the AEW. I just wanted to say really quick that I appreciate each and every single one of you who've been rocking with us and hanging out with us. And, we got a lot of stuff to discuss here. And I want to make sure that this segment's not too long because we got a 2 pay-per-views to predict, and we got to get to the CLAHN of the week and all the extra stuff. So hopefully, don't make this podcast too long this week. But just really briefly wanted to go over what happened on Raw and SmackDown, and then I'll get to No Mercy. So we had a really, really strong week of television, and I can say that it was a strong week of television across the board. From AEW and WWE this week. But I really think Raw, especially this week, was phenomenal from start to finish. Not only from match quality, but, storylines as well. I really thought that Raw and SmackDown this week delivered the goods in a lot of different ways. Excuse me. We had this thing brewing with the Bloodline and John Cena and AJ Styles. AJ Styles gets laid out by the Bloodline in the backstage area. And now it's looking like it's going to be John Cena and a partner of his choosing against the Bloodline at Fastlane. That's how the show ended. And also, during this whole show, like Jimmy Uso is like so antsy and stuff being back in the Bloodline. He's making decisions without approval from the Wise Man or the Tribal Chief. I'm pretty sure we'll be seeing Roman Reigns after Fastlane's over. So, I'm pretty sure we'll get some contentious moments tomorrow night and see where that goes. Jimmy's trying to earn the trust back of the bloodline, but he keeps making decisions that he's not supposed to make. And, Jimmy's not thinking right now. He's an airhead. He's not thinking right now. So that's something to watch out. Jimmy can be his worst enemy. Or is this something where, where you can try to convince Solo from leaving the bloodline? There's a lot of unanswered questions there that we have to figure out and sift through. Coming up this Friday on SmackDown, we got the Rey Mysterio, Santos Escobar, United States Championship match. They defeated the Street Profits in a pretty good tag team match. I'm excited for that U.S. title match tomorrow night. That should be very interesting to see how that plays out for the LWO. Not only that, after the match, Bobby Lashley looked pretty pissed at the Street Profits. They go to the locker room. Bobby's like, hey, you guys want to keep acting up like this and not pull the trigger and capitalize when the iron's hot. He could find somebody else and you guys could be stuck in catering like you were before. So, Lashley's he's not having time for pity parties and moral victories. He wants a different edge to the Street Profits, and I thought it was good. I thought it was pretty funny. Earlier the show, they had this vignette with Alba Fire and Isla Dawn where it's like a vignette, and they're kind of taking ownership over the fact that the women's tag team titles have been kind of cursed in some ways, and they're basically they put a spell on the women's division since they lost their tag title. So I thought it was cool. I thought it was pretty funny. I thought that was some good stuff. So that's what it was there. And then other stuff for SmackDown really quick. Asuka and Io for the Women's Championship on SmackDown. If you guys haven't seen that match, you go check it out. Definitely one of the best matches that we saw this week. Io retained. A lot of shenanigans went to the outside. We'll know that Charlotte Flair and Bayley will be having a match tomorrow night on SmackDown. That should be pretty good. Speaking of good, how about A-Town Thunder? No, my bad. A-Town Down Thunder. No, A-Town Down Under. There you go. Austin Theory and Grayson Waller as a tag team against the Brawling Brutes. Very, very good match. Austin Theory and Grayson Waller worked pretty well as a tag team. I'm not going to lie. It's been some good action so far. So that was SmackDown. A pretty solid show. I thought Raw this week was the best show that WWE aired from Raw and SmackDown, if I'm being honest. This stuff with Jey Uso, it's getting people upset. Nobody knows who to trust to. Not only the stuff from a thread point of view and how the show is laid out, I got to give a shout out to that Ontario crowd. They were fantastic. They were in Ontario, California this past Monday. They kicked out the show with Cody Rhodes. Cody mentioned that maybe we're not in the third inning anymore. He goes on to explain why he brought Jey Uso to Monday Night Raw. Judgment Day feel like they need to have 6 segments of the show every single week, but they claim to run all of WWE and run Monday Night Raw, so I guess they can do whatever they want. They come out. That goes into the first brawl of the show, and here's the thing. I really enjoy like this, and this could be like maybe a little tease for War Games for Survivor Series. I don't know if they're going that route because they haven't said that War Games will be featured at Survivor Series. Maybe that's probably the better choice of it. Last year was more of a promotional tactic. It's like, hey, we're having a War Games. Maybe you could have it authentically announced that we're having a War Games match, and be like, oh, hey, it's Survivor Series War Games. You don't want to make Survivor Series into it's a gimmick pay-per-view to a certain extent because the name matched, but you don't want to try to stay here. You don't want to make Survivor Series out like Elimination Chamber or Extreme Rules, If you're going to have a War Games match that's worth it, have it there. And I can see that brewing, Yeah, and here's the thing. I really enjoyed, since Triple H is taking over the pencil, brother, since this era of Triple H started, I really enjoyed these like brawls, like these on-site brawls. And you got four baby faces just stomping a mud hole in Damian Priest's ass this week, which I was laughing my ass off. It was great. Not only that, it's just a fun way to kick out the show with a Pure Six brawl, which will kind of lead into what happened later on that night. But, Priest is yelling at McDonough, you let this high dry, you let me get my ass kicked. And, I like these on-site brawls. If this is leading up to War Games, I'm more for it. I'm all for it. Yeah, take my money, Some really good matches on the show as well on Monday. We had Big Meanie Man bumping meat with Bronson Reed and Otis. Bronson's picking up momentum. He's getting victories. We had Tommaso Ciampa with Ludwig Kaiser. That was a good match as well. Ciampa won. Imperium still having tough love. I know a lot of people think, oh, they're going to split Imperium up. Why is it Kaiser and Vinci lose all the time? I think a lot of this scolding from Gunther is really going to benefit Imperium in some ways. I really think it's going to get them more like upset and more focused where they could possibly become the next tag team champion. So I wouldn't look into it too far and be like, oh, they're teasing that Imperium's going to split up. No, Gunther's giving them tough love, and they need to be more vicious and more serious about what they're doing. And I think it's being beneficial. I wouldn't rush to judgment and be like, oh, we're going to have Imperium split up. I don't think that's the case. But they did announce for next week that it's going to be a contract signing for Gunther and Tommaso Ciampa. My best guess would be that they'll possibly fight each other at Fastlane for the IC title. You ain't going to get a qualm from me from that because I saw their match in NXT. I forgot which takeover that was, but it was a tremendous match. Speaking of tremendous matches, Dominic Mysterio and Dragon Lee for the North American Championship. By the way, I got a chance to go visit my Wello at his flea market, Swamporama, here in Chicago. And I got to run into some really cool luchador masks. And I wanted to show this to you guys. And I know this is not great for the audio version of the podcast this week, but for those who are watching here on YouTube, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. I got and bought my first luchador mask. Check this out. I bought my first luchador mask. My uncle Jose got me my luchador mask. Yeah, it's pretty dope, right? Rey Mysterio style mask. I don't know. Should I put this on the wall or get one of those foam mannequins and put it on top? I really enjoy this. This mask is really cool. It somehow fits my big ass head, which is pretty funny, But I really like the mask. I just like the layout of it. It looks dope. So I got the mask, and Dragon Lee and Dominic tore the house down. It was fantastic. Folks got to put some respect on Dirty Don's in-ring work because that boy put his working boots on, and that was a damn good match. What else here we should mention from Raw? Tegan Nox got some TV time. Looks like she'll get a chance to fight Becky Lynch if she retains her title over Tiffany Stratton on Monday. I gotta tell you, one of my other favorite parts from Raw that nobody was talking about was Seth Rollins and Shinsuke Nakamura's segment. I really enjoyed it. You got to see a more serious side of Seth. They'll be fighting each other in a rematch. It's gonna be a last man standing match for the World Heavyweight Championship at Fastlane. I thought that promo was good, really good, especially from Seth getting his response to what Nakamura said on the screen. I have the transcript here so I can read it for you guys. This is what Nakamura said to Seth. Seth Rollins, name the time, name the place. You have so many demands. No wonder your body fails you. I want nothing more than to be the straw that finally breaks your back. Mangles you until there's nothing left but dust. But I have restraint. Your stamina is admirable, but you have no patience, only impulse.
I dealt the hand and you showed me all of your cards. I have yet to show you mine. Let me make it clear. A match so brutal, so barbaric, you never walk again. A conclusion so humiliating, your daughter will be too ashamed to look at you. Seth, this is your last chance to fight. Last chance to hear your song. Last chance to be called champion. I will stand tall while you never stand again. Yes, I accept your challenge. Seth Rollins ends at Fastlane. Last man standing. I'm excited for this match. I don't know about you guys, but I think these guys are going to tear the house down. You know what's crazy? I think Seth said it himself on social media. This is the first time Seth has been in a last man standing match. I couldn't believe it. The guy's been in WWE on the main roster for 11 years now. Like I'm surprised he was never in that match. You would think Seth Rollins has run the gambit on every single gimmick match you can have in WWE, but this is his first last man standing match. So I'm excited for that match. I've been liking the feud so far with Nakamura and Rollins. Maybe I'm in the minority of that, but I thought it was pretty cool. From there, Nia Jax ran through Zoe Stark. This show was really good on the storytelling, especially here. This is what I want to talk about, like maximizing your TV time. Miz TV with Drew McIntyre and The New Day. This is one of the best TV segments I've seen all year. We're having this slow brewing of things bubbling and festering inside of Drew McIntyre. Sooner or later, this guy's going to go to the dark side. We all see it. The writing's on the wall here. This segment, not only that, but the following that with Drew McIntyre and Kofi Kingston was a fantastic TV match. I love everything that's going on right now with this Drew McIntyre feud. And again, it goes back to the thread of the show. You know, Judgment Day runs Raw. They set the groundwork. You know, there's conflicts of interest with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. We have the Cody Rhodes dynamic. We have how will Jey Uso integrate himself in the locker room now that he's on his own accord. Now we have Drew McIntyre. Can't trust anybody. You have Miz stirring the pot. We have New Day, you know, in some ways defending Jey Uso, saying that, hey, you know, Jey deserves a second chance. This is really good storytelling. It really is. And, you know, Drew left Jey high and dry last week to get beat down by the Judgment Day. Kind of the same thing happened here after the match was over with Kofi when Ivar gave the New Day the beats and sent them to the gulags. I don't know about you guys, but for me, this Drew McIntyre stuff with the New Day and his slow turn of becoming a bad guy has been fantastic. Some really top-notch stuff. So, holy shit. Excuse my language. I just saw the score of the Lions game. Mamma mia. I love this. It's Lions 27, Packers 3 at halftime. Mamma mia. And my boy David Montgomery got 2 touchdowns. That's great. That is awesome. Oh, man. That is tremendous. Anyways, back to wrestling. I don't know about you guys. For me, the stuff with Drew McIntyre becoming into a bad guy, just the way that segment itself was structured, is good, man. You know, the New Day's been doing some good stuff in their return from injuries. Again, this episode of Raw was fantastic. I think this may have been one of the best overall Raws of the entire year. It was fantastic. And then we had the main event, obviously, Judgment Day, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn for the Undisputed Tag Team titles. These guys rarely disappoint in the ring. This match is no different. The crowd was into it. I was into it. Then we got into I'm going to say ruthless aggression kind of close. I won't call it an attitude era close because we don't have JR there to have that moment. But the crowd was really hot for this Mamma Mia-esque Pier 6 Brawl to close out the show. You have Cody out there. You have Jay out there. We got Dominic and JD McDonough running interference to the point where JD hits Sami Zayn with the Money in the Bank briefcase to help Judgment Day retain their titles. And then we get this massive ass brawl, and we're out of time. Roll the credits, pal, like it's Mid-South Wrestling. Roll the credits. It's all hell is breaking loose in Ontario. We'll see you next week. Will these guys fight each other at War Games? Believe it or not, Survivor Series in November. We're a couple days away out from October. We got about 7 weeks to build for a War Games match. I think we're scratching the surface of these Pier 6 brawls that we're going to be seeing from these 8 guys. So, all in all, man, Raw was fantastic. I thought Raw was the best show this week collectively on television across the wrestling landscape. So that was Raw and SmackDown. Coming up on Saturday is NXT No Mercy, and I'll be covering the event live for WrestlingHeadlines.com. And here are the matches for the show. I'll kind of do my mini Excrement impression here for NXT. So you just hate AEW. No, I'll be fair about it, okay? Coming to you live on Saturday on Peacock, it's the new stellar edition of NXT No Mercy, a premium live event. In the pre-show match, we have Blair Davenport taking on Kalani Jordan. For the first match of the show, we have a British Rumbles match for the NXT Heritage Cup champion. It's the champion, Noah Dar, taking on Butch. From there, we have a Fatal 4-Way match for the tag team titles. We have the family, Tony D'Angelo and Channing Stacks Lorenzo, taking on the team of Lucien Price and Bronco Nima, and the Creed brothers and Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza. From there is the singles match for the NXT North American Championship with Dragon Lee serving as the special guest referee. It's the champion, Dirty Dominic Mysterio, taking on Trick Williams. From there, we have a grudge match. It's Braun Breaker against Baron Corbin. From there, we have the Extreme Rules match for the NXT Women's Championship. It's Becky Lynch against Tiffany Stratton. And our main event for the NXT Championship, it's Carmelo Hayes against Ilya Dragunov. So, there you go. There's your Excrement impression NXT edition. This card is very good. This card is very, very good. This is a spotlight match for Kalani Jordan. It's a pre-show match. I expect Blair Davenport to win that match, so I'm going to go with Blair there. All right, let's go through this really quickly. I got Noam Dar retaining over Butch. I have Braun Breaker beating Baron Corbin. I got the family retaining. They will win and retain that Fatal 4-Way match. I have Trick Williams becoming the NXT North American Champion. Dirty Dom goes down this Saturday in Bakersfield, California. I have Becky Lynch retaining her NXT Women's Championship over Tiffany Stratton. It'll be a fantastic match. Also have Carmelo Hayes retaining against Ilya Dragunov. And that's my predictions for NXT No Mercy. And on that note, it's time for the main event. It's scheduled for one fall with the unlimited time limit. And if you're easily offended, that's a you problem, not a me problem. It's time for another restaurant quality edition of What the Hell is Wrong with AEW. Let's start this bad boy off in a 3, a 2, a 1.
Your meat, beat 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 your meat.
I'm telling you, my time is right now. Right this minute, 2022. We're living it. My time is now. My time is right. God damn now.
Man, what intensity.
The quality of the product and the quality of the shows is at an all-time high right now. But I do know that
It's a real war between AEW and WWE.
I'm still cashing fat checks, and I am still banging the hottest bitch in this entire place.
It's time for What the Hell is Wrong with AEW?
Fuck this shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks. Don't mind me. I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Nope. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Alright then. I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I don't really care. I'ma get the fuck up out of here. Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Look at that thing of beauty. Look at that. What a beautiful portrait that is, man. Picasso is rolling with envy in his grave right now. Oh my God. The beautiful portrait is brought to you by my good brother, Joe Cerna, aka the wrestler known as Humic. Make sure to support his work. Oh man, I should just keep this screen up for the entire segment. Why not? Let's give it a chance, right? What the hell is wrong with AEW? Okay. I didn't want to do this, but it has to be said. I'm seeing a lot of this scuttlebutt this week about Tony Khan saying we're in a new era of AEW coming up on Sunday for WrestleDream. I don't know if this occurs to anybody, but bringing in former WWE talents does not constitute your promotion having a new era. Bringing in Adam Copeland and Mercedes Moné is not constituting a new era. You want to know why? Because we went through this routine multiple times already. Oh my God, CM Punk is in AEW. Watch out, WWE. AEW is going to the next level. Oh my God, it's Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole, baby. Oh my God, they're gonna change the guard in AEW. Oh, WWE's gotta watch out. We've been through this course over and over again. You remember when Tony Khan said we had the biggest free agent signing in the history of professional wrestling, and it ended up being Christian Cage? Now, don't get me wrong, Christian's killing it right now. He's one of the few people I enjoy weekly on AEW television. But the premise and the teases and the announcements and, oh my God, we're going to have a new guard. This could be the next level thing. Bringing in former WWE talents does not constitute a new era. What about something from within that makes your company a new era? How about that? What about we're in the new era of AEW where we don't have nonsense going on behind the scenes? How about that? Can that count for that being a new era in AEW? I'm sorry. And this is not me being like, oh, I'm going to shit on Edge now because he would go to AEW. No, if that's something he wants to do with his career, more power to him. He wants to end his career in AEW and have matches with the Hardy Boys and do no disqualification matches and do all this nonsense. More power to him. What I'm saying is that we've gone through, how many times do they have to go through this routine? Like, oh my God, somebody got released from WWE. Oh, they're going to come to AEW. Oh, WWE's got to watch out. How many times do we have to do this scuttlebutt? Oh my God, Mercedes Moné comes to AEW. Their ratings are going to go up the roof. Are you kidding me? Who are we fooling now? What new era? Rolling in and out new talents from WWE is not growing your company. We've been at this for 4 years now. I remember when Jon Moxley showed up at Double or Nothing and everybody thought AEW was going to become the second coming of WCW. Here we are 4 years later. and they can barely scratch over 900,000 viewers unless it's a themed episode of Dynamite. Last week, we had over $900,000 for the show at Authorized Stadium. Hey, it was a good show. I put it over. Congratulations. Now we come back to reality. We had the show last night. I forgot where the show was last night. Anyways, we get back to reality, and then this week's episode of Dynamite drew 855,000 people. Now, I'm not crazy with the whole rating stuff. I don't live and die with that stuff. I'm not that type of wrestling fan. But the trends speak for themselves. Yeah, you get maybe 900,000 for a specialty show, but the growth from AEW comes from nothing that comes from these acquisitions. Oh my God, it's CM Punk. Look what happened to Rampage after he came in. Oh my God, it's Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole. Love Adam Cole. Big Adam Cole mark here. I respect Bryan Danielson. But here's the truth too. Both of those guys are liabilities at this point. They're injury prone. Adam Cole's done a lot of good stuff this year with MJF. I give credit where credit's due. They got the main event all in. They had the segment last night. It was fantastic at the bowl with Captain Sano. I laughed my ass off. I thought it was really good. I like this stuff now with MJF and Adam Cole. I was kind of iffy about it at first, I'll be honest with you. But I like it. But AEW is not growing. So you could bring in Edge. You could bring in Sasha Banks. You could bring in Gangrel. You could bring in Matt Riddle. You could bring in Dolph Ziggler. You could bring in Elias. You could bring in Mustafa Ali. The list goes on and on. You could bring anybody. You could bring people from New Japan in there. AEW is not growing. So to say that, we got Edge and Mercedes Moné, that's really going to boost the ratings. By what? 100,000? Maybe hover around 950 every week? Maybe we'll get 100,000 more viewers for Collision. Yay. I like Collision. I think Collision Weekly is a better show than Dynamite. I think AEW has been pumping out some good content since All Out. And believe it or not, I'm actually kind of intrigued by what's going to happen on Sunday from a wrestling standpoint at this pay-per-view. Now that I'm covering the event, I'm obviously more interested on this show on Sunday. But even then, like, what I'm saying right now has nothing to do with the current product. Like, I'm happy for them. They're having some success. The shows have been good. It's not as eye-rolling as it's been in previous months. Like, I try to be fair and honest. I don't try to be honest. I'm always honest. I try to be fair and look things from a bigger picture from AEW at times, but it's just the hyperbole machine that we go through all the time. Somebody comes from WWE at this pay-per-view. Oh my God, we're in a new era. We're going to get new ratings. Then we go back to 850. I love Edge. But outside of a program with Christian Cage, what are you getting out of that? Edge is not going to take you some new stratosphere ratings-wise where you're competing with Raw. I heard somebody the other day, like, Edge and Sasha Banks show up at AEW. They're going to outdraw Raw in the 1849 demo. Okay. We'll see how that works. Bringing in WWE talents when you're not growing anything within is not constituting a new era. You want to have a new era? How about you have shows where you don't have people bleeding the entire time? How about a new era where you have matches where the referees are doing their fucking jobs in the first place and not letting people get injured? How about we have a new era where you're not coming back for commercial breaks and you see your camera people counting you in to start the segment? How about that? You guys think I was going to forget about that? Don't tell me about a new era. Show me. We've been through this cycle over and over and over again. Oh my God, Tony Khan's got this big announcement. Everything with CM Punk should give you the fair and honest reason to look at things that come out of Tony Khan's mouth with a grain of salt. What happened with CM Punk should give you a grain of salt approach of what the outcome is with these former WWE talents coming into AEW. There has been exceptions to the rule. I love FTR. They're one of the best tag teams of all time. Do I credit AEW for their success, though? No. FTR is FTR in WWE, in New Japan, if they wanted to do stuff on Impact, if they even wanted to be in NWA. I don't even know if they wanted to be in NWA. My point is, FTR is going to be successful because FTR is FTR. Do I give them credit for that? Do I give AEW extra credit for FTR being where they are right now? No. I give AEW credit for MJF. I give AEW credit for the Acclaim. I give AEW credit for rejuvenizing the career of Tony Storm. You know, Darby Allin, obviously. Ricky Starks. They have done good things here and there when it comes to growing talent. But there's exceptions to the rules. Why is it that you have a match that almost steals the All Out pay-per-view with Miro and Powerhouse Hobbs, and there's no follow-up with that? All we're getting is backstage segments with Miro and CJ Peary. You could have a best-of-7 meat feud right now with Miro and Powerhouse Hobbs, but we haven't seen these guys interact with each other on the show since the pay-per-view. Leaving money on the table. Why the hell are you having Wardlow sit at home when he's completely healthy? Why is it that you have Brian Cage stuck in a faction that nobody gives a shit about outside of Prince Nana doing his dance and having him lose every week? Oh, we can't do anything for Lance Archer. We can't present big guys in AEW. How about that for a new era? How about a new era in AEW where you actually allow the bigger size performers have the same opportunities and TV time as these tumbling routine generic wrestlers that we see on TV each and every single week? How about that? How about we don't have Big Bill come out and lose to Jungle Boy and all these small wrestlers every week? There's one thing about claiming about having a new era in AEW. I needed to see it. Tony Khan, you talk too much. Sorry to steal the phrase from Botchamania, but it's true. You talk too much. Show me a new era. Bringing in Adam Copeland and Mercedes Moné is not bringing some new stratosphere for AEW. It's not. We'll get maybe some dream matches here and there, and that's that. You watered down. Let's transition to what happened on Dynamite last night, because I thought this was very telling, especially with this whole new era thing. So, you've watered down Jay White to being in a mid-level subgroup of a group that he was already kicked out in Bullet Club due to the fact that he wasn't brought into WWE because of hiring freezes. Now Jay White has the gumption to stand up to MJF and say that he wants a shot at the AEW title by beating Andrade, who hasn't met next to shit on Collision and has been relegated to a mid-carder. Now we have Jay White feeling like he's the guy to take the title off of MJF. It's just random. And there was a real possibility, if MJF wanted to, that he could have done some serious damage to Jay White on the microphone. And I heard Bully Ray talk about this today with Dave LaGreca on Busted Open. It's true. maybe in some ways Max did hold back and let White speak for himself. You guys don't need to tell me how good Jay White is. I know how good Jay White is. I know the real Jay White that could be a face of your promotion and one of your top heels in the entire landscape of professional wrestling. I see him come out with that fucking stupid ass cardboard of him and the Gun Club and Juice Robinson and this Bullet Club Gold bullshit that we sit through every single week. It's just not clicking the same. I'm glad he got the TV time. The segment was good. I have no problem with that. It's just the premise of what I'm talking about here. Follow through with your actions. Big signing from New Japan, Jay White. Oh, let's stash him in Collision, and then randomly he pops up on Dynamite, and now he wants a shot at the world title. What has Jay White done to constitute a shot at the world championship? Max is good, but again, I say that every week. You guys know where I feel about MJF and the guys and girls that I enjoy watching on TV. By the way, where's your women's world champion? Why wasn't Saraya on the show last night? I don't get that. I wasn't gonna forget about this too. Aubrey Edwards officiating the first match of this show. Jeff Jarrett against Phoenix for the AEW International Championship. Phoenix retains. Had no doubt that was going to happen. Was what it was. Jeff Jarrett ceases weasel his way into these title matches on TV every week. We got to have the big 7-foot geek. We have Sanjay Dutt with his stupid pencil. Shine it up real nice and show it up his ass. We got Jay Lethal, who's a tremendous wrestler and stuck in a stupid faction that nobody gives two shits about. And we got Karen Jarrett out there. And what is the focus that we get out of what happened during the match with Jeff Jarrett and Phoenix? It's not the two wrestlers in the ring. No, it's Mrs. Personality herself, Dawn Stevens, Aubrey Edwards, Ray Charles Edwards. Has to make it all about her stuff where she shoves down Karen Jarrett and we get the Aubrey. You're an official. You are not a wrestler. You're not a superstar. You're not Earl Hebner either. A friend of mine told me that she proclaims that she's the female Earl Hebner. I thought it was the stupidest shit I've heard all year. She is such an egomaniac that she can't control herself. She really can't. Like, it's within her to make everything about her. Oh, I gotta get my TV time. I gotta be the first referee out there that we see on TV every week. I gotta have the big matches. I gotta be in every Jericho segment. I gotta make sure that I'm in sometimes in the main events. Aubrey, not everything's about you. You're a referee. You're not a wrestler. We had to begin the show in a title match. And what people talk about, oh, the referee is responsible for the decision of the match and also interacting with heel managers at ringside. Not ejecting them. They can climb over the ring apron as many times as they want, but, oh, your only intention is to get pops for yourself when you come out there and interact and shove down Karen Jarrett. Aubrey, get your head out of your ass and do your fucking job, okay? That was that. I liked the triple threat match with Nick Jackson, Claudio, and Brian Cage. I thought it was a good match. I would have had Brian Cage win that one, but they wanted to go with Nick Jackson in Phoenix next week since it's the... did they say the 200th episode of Dynamite next week? Or something like that? The 5-year anniversary of Dynamite? No, not the 5-year, the 4-year anniversary of Dynamite, excuse me. Yeah, isn't it the 200th episode of Dynamite next week? So they're gonna do Nick Jackson and Phoenix in a tumbling routine. Was what it was. Didn't really care for it. Kind of the same thing with the Hangman Page and Swerve segment to close out the show. Like, it was just there for me. Like, who am I supposed to cheer for? You just got put in a casket by a 64-year-old man, and now I got to take you seriously as a main eventer because your cousin's part of the creative team? Let's call a spade here. Why do you think we're getting more elevated TV time for Swerve Strickland that wasn't there before Will Washington wasn't part of the creative team? Let's call it what it is, man. And then from there, we have, I thought Willow and Julia Hart had a decent match last night, was what it was. There was the 4-way match with Pockets, Matt Jackson, I believe Pentagon was in the match as well, too. That match was okay. But, I don't know. This show just wasn't there for me where I wanted to, resonate for it. It was like, man, I got to watch WrestleDream on Sunday. I'm intrigued by the card, but the final go-home for it was just there for me. And don't even get me started with the Don Callis, Chris Jericho stuff. I could give two shits about it, to be honest with you. I just don't care. I don't. Let me do the Excrement impression first before I give you my predictions for WrestleDream, okay? Let me find the card, actually, first. Okay, I got it right here. By the way, for those who are watching, is WrestleDream both words at the same time, or is it separated? I need to know for technical purposes as I set up the article. Is it like WrestleMania all in one word? I need to know that stuff. All right, let's do the Excrement impression, then I'll make my predictions for the pay-per-view coming up on Sunday. All right, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Coming to you live tomorrow night on TNT. It's another stellar edition of AEW Rampage. Here are the matches. For the New Japan Strong World Championship, it's Eddie Kingston taking on Rocky Romero. From there, the challengers for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles for AEW WrestleDream, the Righteous will be in action. From there, we have an AEW Women's Championship Eliminator match with Ruby Soho taking on Hikaru Shida. And the next match here, for the AEW World Trios Championship, it's the Acclaim and Daddy Ass taking on the Hardy Boys and Isaiah Cassidy. Then coming up on Collision on Saturday night on TNT, it's an all-star 8-man tag team match, which features the Blackpool Cocoa It's the Blackpool Cocoa Clubs, Bryan Danielson and Wheeler Useless and FTR taking on the team of Ricky Starks, Big Bill, and Aussie Open. And coming up on Sunday from the Climate Pledge Arena in Seattle, Washington, it's the inaugural AEW WrestleDream. Here are the matches on the program. First, we have Ricky Starks against Wheeler Yuta. Then we have a 4-way match. The winner gets a future AEW World Tag Team Championship match. It's the Young Bucks, the Guns, the Lucha Brothers, and Orange Cassidy and Hook. From there, the match for the AEW TBS Championship, it's the champion Chris Statlander taking on Julia Hart. From there, the match for the Ring of Honor World Championship and the Strong Openweight Championship is Eddie Kingston taking on Kazuchika Shibata. From there, it's a 2 out of 3 falls match for the AEW TNT Championship. It's Christian Cage taking on Darby Allin. From there, it's a grudge match. It's a 6-man tag team match. It's Chris Jericho and the Golden Elite, Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi taking on the Don Callis family and Will Ospreay. From there, the AEW World Championship, MJF will put his one half of the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championship match on the line in a 2-1 handicap match against the Righteous. From there, for the AEW World Tag Team Championship match, it's a rematch from New Japan's Royal Quest. It's FTR taking on Aussie Open. From there, we have the grudge match, Hangman Page against Swerve Strickland. In our main event, it's Bryan Danielson against Zack Sabre Jr. More matches being announced Make sure to follow Tony Khan on Twitter at Tony Khan and get all your tickets right now at AWTIX.com. That's AWTIX.com. As I say that, there's a Thanksgiving holiday tradition that's continuing at the Wintrust Arena coming up in Chicago the day before Thanksgiving. So you guys may want to check that out. So you'll get Dynamite, Rampage, SmackDown, and Survivor Series that weekend in Chicago. So that's not too shabby for a holiday week. I'm not even gonna lie, that's pretty dope. So with that being said, that's the Excrement impression there. Let me make my picks for this show. I'll tell you right now, I'm obviously excited for FTR and Aussie Open. That's gonna be a barn burner. I covered their match at Road Quest last year. It's one of the best tag matches I've seen in wrestling in a long, long time, and I hope they get the proper time because there's a lot of matches on this show. This show could go for 6 hours, easy. I think it's probably going to be a 5-hour pay-per-view, to be honest with you. There's just a lot of matches here that I can see going for a long time. So, I think FTR and Aussie Open could be the match that steals the show. I'm actually betting that it would steal the show, in my opinion. But here's my predictions for the show. By the way, Ricky Starks and Bryan Danielson had a really good strap match on Collision last week. If you guys haven't seen it, go check out that match. But I know how to pick up Ricky Starks' momentum. How about we have him fight Wheeler Useless? What a constellation prize. We go from Bryan Danielson to Wheeler Useless on pay-per-view. So, yes, I got Ricky Starks beating Wheeler Yuta. I think you know what? I'm going to go with the Young Bucks. I think the Young Bucks will win that tag team match. It's either going to be them or Pockets and Hook who get the Future World Tag Team title match. I think Chris Statlander will beat Julia Hart. And Eddie Kingston retaining over Shibata. That should be a very good match. I think the same thing here with this Christian Cage Darby Allin match. I think Darby Allin will win the TNT Championship. That is my guess there. Then we have the 6-man tag. Don Callis family's had the advantage over Jericho and the Golden Elite. I think that probably continues, so I'd probably say the Don Callis family will beat Jericho and the Golden Elite. Then we have MJF against the Righteous. I could give two shits about the Righteous. I'm sorry. It's just there for me. I don't care about the group. I really don't. So I'm going to go with MJF to retain. I got FTR retaining over Aussie Open. Hangman Page and Swerve Strickland. This could go either way. I don't have a personal emotional investment in this feud, but I can see Hangman Page being Swerve Strickland, and then maybe Swerve gets the victory over Hangman. It's really a toss-up match, but Bryan Danielson against Zack Sabre Jr. Bryan Danielson will probably win. I'll be surprised if he doesn't. So that's AEW WrestleDream. Here's my final picks for the show again. I got Ricky Starks over Wheeler Useless. I got the Young Bucks or Pockets and Hook win the 4-way tag match. I got Chris Stanley retaining over Julia Hart, Eddie Kingston, Darby Allin because the new TNT champion. I have the Don Callis family beating Chris Jericho and the Golden Elite. I got MJF retaining against the Righteous somehow. I have FTR retaining over Aussie Open. I have Swerve Strickland beating Hangman Page, and then Bryan Danielson will defeat Zack Sabre Jr. So, with that being said, that's my predictions for WrestleDream. Don't forget to see my coverage of WrestleDream this Sunday live on pay-per-view at WrestlingHeadlines.com. And on that note, I ask the question each and every single week, and we want to know from you, what the hell is wrong with AEW?
This has been What the Hell is Wrong with AEW.
New era, my ass.
Fuck this shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks. Don't mind me. I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Nope. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Alright then. I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I don't really care. I'ma get the fuck up out of here. Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Alright. we're about to reach the final leg of this podcast this week. It's been a fun episode so far, but before I get to my predictions, for football coming up this week, we had the little tradition here with the CLAHN of the Week segment in football. I make my picks and we do the CLAHN of the Week, but we're gonna start off with this week's edition of the CLAHN of the Week. A lot of nominees this week and a lot to choose from, but I have a combo platter this week, and this one should get very interesting very quickly. So, time for the CLAHN of the Week.
I'm not CLAHN. You're big on CLAHN.
One more time.
I'm not CLAHN. You're big on CLAHN.
Oh, man. This is going to get interesting. Well, my first nominee for the CLAHN of the Week goes to the production staff of Fox Sports, who decided to litter the game I was watching on Sunday with my Chicago Bears getting absolutely demolished and ran-rolled by the Kansas City Chiefs this past Sunday at Arrowhead. The fascination with Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift has got me to the point where I'm becoming nauseated with it, and I needed to stop. I'm not going to explain. I'm going to let Mad Dog Chris Russo from First Take explain my frustration. So, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift footage, all of that. CLAHN of the Week. I'll say more once this clip's over.
I care about the league.
Number 3.
No, I'm not ready.
You ready for this? I courted my lovely wife for a long time. The last thing that I did when I courted, at the time, Jean Lavelle, was take her to see mom and dad 5 minutes into the relationship. Hey, my name is Chris. You want to hang out? Sure, I'll hang out. Well, why don't you come to my football game on Sunday afternoon and sit with my old lady in the bar? This Travis Kelce thing was freaking, I can't take it. I'm enough already. All Fox cared about on Sunday was showing Taylor in the booth banging on the wall, and the mother was all annoyed and you saw it there properly. Oh my God, I can look at this. That mother didn't want her in there. She wants to enjoy her son. And who takes their girlfriend 2 minutes into a relationship to visit mommy and daddy? Nobody does that. That's it. I mean, and then we got to show him walking out. And now all of a sudden, she's a big Kansas City Chief fan. She's never heard of Lenny Dawson.
Wait, hold on.
Oh, my God.
Time out. Maybe we don't know the whole story. Maybe they've been dating for a long time.
They haven't been
Maybe
dating.
this isn't a first date.
Oh, my God. No, this is ridiculous. This is a pro date. This is not a date. This is the promotion of the next album. I can't believe. And enough of Travis Kelce. How many commercials do I gotta see Travis Kelce in? DraftKings, football, eating steaks. I'm a sick of Travis Kelce. Just a couple of passes, please. Enough of that relationship. I'm an old man. I get you. Get off my lawn. I get it. Let me watch the football. Number 3.
Mad Dog. What's your wife's name again?
Jeannie.
What you call this? Jean Lavelle?
Jean Lavelle.
Jean Lavelle.
Her maiden name. How'd you guys meet?
On a plane.
Oh, you met on a plane?
Yes, we did.
Mad Dog, how long did
How
you
long was
take her
it
to see
before
your
you
parents?
introduced her to your family?
I'm sorry?
How long was it before you introduced her to your family?
They had a lot of trouble. About 10 months. Long time. She still has never met my mother. It's been 26 years.
What is wrong with
28.
you? Did you? Hold on, Marcus. Come
28.
here. Hold on. Real talk. Were you like, oh, it's kind of, wow, she met the mom soon? Were you thinking that?
It was
when
a
she was
little
up
quick.
in the booth, you thought it was a little soon?
Yeah, but to your point, I don't know how long
yeah.
they really been talking, but that was
Were you
fast.
impressed by what a fan she was, though? Like how enthused you?
It felt fake to me.
Oh, no, he agrees with me. You're looking to get me in trouble. And he
I'm
agrees.
not trying to get anyone in
He
trouble.
agrees. Good job.
I'm asking follow-ups because I'm intrigued from a male perspective.
I don't know.
I'm
Is
just
that it?
curious.
I don't know how long they've
Is
been
that it?
kicking it, but it did feel like it was extra.
Is that your last one?
Yeah, that's the last one. Yeah.
I can't believe you're mad about Travis and Taylor. They found love.
Go out there like Richard Pryor and Brewster's Million.
Yeah, introduced her to the mom. Come on.
Found love. Are you nuts? You can't believe that. Found love after 5 minutes? Please.
We don't know it's
Stephen A, go out there like Richard Pryor and Brewster's Million, man.
Oh, my God.
Put the whole uniform
You know what they found? Let's promote, get some publicity. That's what they found.
It was fun. You dropping the album, man, dog?
That's what somebody told me.
Bro, she just made $5 billion. It might be real.
Who they
You
playing
got,
this
you're
week?
so
The Jets.
jaded.
I hope that Gardner, although he's been awful, I hope that Sauce Gardner, I hope Kelsey does not catch a pass this week and drops 20 of them. Because then I want to hear about Haley.
This dude's nuts. Go to the bumps, please. Let's just...
Oh my God. Mad Dog Russo's a national treasure. My God. I don't care. Congratulations, Travis Kelce. You caught the greatest waterfall on God's green earth for the music industry. Congratulations. I'm a fan of Taylor Swift, by the way. Big fan. I don't know if I'll class myself as a Swiftie. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But I'm a fan of Taylor. I'm a mark for her music. I like her. I have nothing against her personally. She seems like a good person. Obviously very hot. Very good waterfall. But God damn, man. Every 2 minutes. Oh, it's Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. The only good thing that came out of this paparazzi extravaganza on Sunday was seeing our guy Jared Payton from WGN get a gazillion million views on his Twitter post of them walking out of the building the other day. I don't care. I don't care whether they're banging, screwing, hanging, talking out, making out. I can give two shits. Every other play. Oh, let's give a live shout out Taylor in the press box next to his mom. Am I gonna come on here and say that Taylor Swift is fake and that she's using Travis Kelce to promote the 1989 Taylor's version album because both of them were born the same year? I'm not gonna be ignorant like that. If you have that perspective, I can understand where you're coming from, though. But I don't care. Get that shit off my TV. Oh, we go to NBC Sunday night. Thank God that I'm not watching the Chiefs and Jets because I got to cover. I had the pay-per-view to cover on Sunday for WrestleDream. AEW is saving me from seeing Taylor Swift at MetLife Stadium, rooting on Travis Kelce in her new Chiefs jacket. Oh my God. Stop the pain. CLAHN of the week. Taylor and Travis. I can give two shits. I could care less. I don't care if they're banging, talking, hanging out. I could give absolutely two shits about it. I just do not care. All right, with that being said, let's get into the CLAHN of the week, other nominee for me. Curt Schilling. This is recent news, if you guys haven't heard. Curt Schilling on his podcast the other day went out of its way to announce that Tim Wakefield is suffering from brain cancer. Without the permission of the Wakefield family, by the way. Curt Schilling, you are once a clown, always a clown, and forever a clown. You're a douchebag, you're an asshole, you're a scumbag, you're the scum of the earth. I respected you as a pitcher. I liked your run with the Red Sox, but over the years and seeing how scummy of a person you are and a human being, you are the literal definition of a piece of shit. To go behind your back of a teammate that you claim to be a friend of and go and blow it on your podcast over the fact that he's suffering from brain cancer makes you look like a scumbag, okay? I have no respect for Curt Schilling, and him doing that alone is worthy enough of him being the CLAHN of the week. So, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, congratulations. You guys get the award for CLAHN of the week this week. My God. All right, let's wrap up this show. Get you guys here for too long. All right, here's my picks for week 4. I got the Jags over the Falcons, Dolphins over Bills, Broncos over the Bears, Ravens over the Browns, Bengals getting a road win against the Titans. I got the Rams over the Colts, Saints over Bucks, Seahawks over Giants, Eagles over the Commanders. A lot of games this week. Vikings over the Panthers, Steelers against the Texans. A lot of games this weekend. I had the Chargers beating the Raiders, Cowboys over the Patriots, 49ers against the Cardinals, and then the Chiefs will beat the Jets. And that's my predictions. No, for week 4 of the NFL season. And on that note, we're going to put a ribbon on this bad boy known as the Hoots Podcast and say thank you all for hanging out with me tonight. It was a fun episode. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel if you're watching this here on YouTube. Like the video, subscribe to our channel. Make sure to press the bell notification so you never miss when a new episode's uploaded or when we start streaming live. And subscribe to the channel as we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. If you want to make a donation to the Hoots Podcast, you can do it on Cash App. I got the information in the description of the video and podcast this week. Also, make sure to support the audio version of the podcast on Amazon, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, etc., etc. You can check out my work at WrestlingHeadlines.com. As always, be the authentic product that is yourself, and remember, nobody dictates the pace of your life but yourself and the man upstairs. I love you guys. Enjoy No Mercy and WrestleDream this weekend, and I'll be back here next week to make my predictions. No, for the lane of fast people coming up next week on the Hoots Podcast. This has been episode 380. The road to episode 400 continues. 20 more episodes to go. We'll talk to y'all next week. Yes, sir.